Hello, welcome to our video. My name is Emmanuel.
And I am Johnny Widodo.
We are from the University of the West Indies. Belief's goal is truth. Falsehood is a failing. To thrive, people need to know of the reality of the world. Truth is essential. Believing anything that is false is likely to ruin someone's ambitions and perhaps end their life. Legal and social consequences could occur from telling a lie. The excellent scientist, the good historian, and the good detective, on the other hand, are committed to seeking the truth. So now I'm going to explain about the theories of truth. Again, the question, truth. What is truth exactly? After all, we already have a general understanding of what it is to be true. What would it entail for something to be true? For example, if I said there was a table in this room, you are aware that for the majority of us, this signifies that there is in fact a table in the room. If I say there is a remote control in my hand, what does it mean for that to be true? For most of us, means there actually is a remote control in your hand. And again, think about all the conflicts and all the disagreement people have about things. When they say they believe is true, they mean it actually is that way. This is the correspondence theory of truth. The correspondence theory of truth says that a belief is true if and only if it corresponds with something that exists in the world. This is a kind of like the common everyday understanding of truth. How do I know that when I say I am wearing a t-shirt? What does it mean for that to be true? Well, it means that I am actually wearing a t-shirt. It exists in the world. It is actually there. I am actually wearing it. So my belief that a table in the room is true if and only if there actually is a table in the room, and this is what we mean by truth. But what is the problem? Well, as we have seen on Kant's idea, and as you know from just basic psychology, we never experience reality as it is. We never experience the world as it is. We only experience the world as our mind shapes it. Everything that we experience, the mind molds, our mind filters and shapes, and that is really what we experience. So we never experience the world as it is. So when we say the table is in the room, we never actually know, like whether there's actual tables in the room. What does truth mean? What can we define truth? I mean, what else could it mean to say the truth of whether or not this cup is here is dependent on whether or not cup is actually here? What else could we do? How else could define what it means to be true? An excerpt from Francis Herbert Bradley, where he talks about another type of epistemology. Let's take a look at this quote. It is all the question of relative contribution. My known world order, the observed fact, must agree with our world as already arranged. What's he getting at? He is introducing a type of justification and knowledge. And his way of justifying knowledge is to say, I know something if it makes sense with everything else I know. If you take a look, a lot of people's believe, if you like, for instance, if somebody says, yeah, I think there is a leprechaun under my desk with $1 million, with you just know about leprechauns. Think about what you know about how the world works. Think about what you know about getting money, and you know table, and does that statement make sense to you? Just a simple reflection on everything else you believe would show you that statement cannot be true. This is referred to as coherentism. Bradley's philosophy is referred to this coherentism, means if you justify what you know based upon whether or not all of your knowledge coheres, it fits, if makes sense together. Does the belief that a leprechaun was $1 million under your desk actually make sense with what you know of the world? Bradley says this form of justifying knowledge is going to lead to a type of truth. This is the coherent story of truth. The coherent story of truth says a belief is true if it coheres with a body of other statements that we take to be true. So when you think of cohere, just think it fits in with your web of beliefs. It fits with your web of everything else you think, to be true. So if I say my belief that a table is in the room is true, what I mean when I say that is that there actually is a table in the room, because none of us can know how reality actually is. When I say there is a table in the room, that statement is true if it coheres with all the other beliefs I take to be true. I mean, just how we normally think about it. Like when I say there is a cup in my hand, that statement makes sense to me. It is true if it makes sense to everything else I believe to be true about cups and hands, and the earth and gravity, and if it makes sense, it is true. Most of us don't. We just talk like that. We say something is true and we believe it because it fits in with everything else we believe. So let's look with an explicit example. If I say the table is in the room, it is a true statement if it fits with every other statement that is part of it. So for instance, a room is a space that can be occupied. Well, what other statements are part of my initial belief? A table is a piece of furniture with a flat top and one or more legs. This is a room. I mean, think about every other claim that is a part of your web of beliefs pertaining to a table is in the room. Table is something rooms. If the statement a table is in the room fits in with all other beliefs, that means it is true. I mean, it's not that the best we got. If we can't know reality actually how it actually is, the best we can do is make sure that whether statement we say is true fits in with the narrative, fits with the story we have in our heads about how the world is. Can you think of any problems with this theory about people that have really jacked up whatever beliefs, about racist or Nazis or any people that have a bias, or how about the people that suffer from delusion, and you tell them something that might be obviously false, but if it fits in with their web of beliefs, that means it's true. If somebody that suffers from a psychological disorder says there is a dragon flying on this or clinging to the ceiling, now is it necessarily true just because it fits in with everything they believe about dragons and ceilings and rooms? If you are talking to somebody that suffers from, that has prejudice, and they make a statement about African Americans or Asians or Latinos or whites that blatantly, racist, does it make statement true just because it fits in with everything else they believe? Yeah, that seems to have problems too. So what else could truth be? We can't say truth is how the world is, because we don't know how the world. If we can't say truth is something that you can't say truth is if something fits in with all the other beliefs we have, then what else can truth be? Another thing about the philosophers we have looked so far, most of them are primarily from what part of the globe they are primarily from. So here we are debating truth, debating how do you know something, and we kind of get stuck. What is truth? We don't even know what is truth is. An American philosopher says, look at those European philosophies, and he said, what are you talking about? What do you mean you don't know what truth is? No. He said, come on, this question isn't that hard. Let's take a step back and ask ourselves a basic question when we were talking about truth, like, why are we even talking about truth? That's the point of truth in the first place. Ask yourself, why would you ever want to know the truth? Isn't it because you are wanting to live your life and it is useful to have truth? So, to live your life, he said, to live your life or to live your life better, William James come up with the idea called the pragmatic theory of truth. It is a practical theory of truth. Why is it practical? Look at the statement through ideas as those that we can assimilate, validate, corroborate, verify. What does it all mean? Let's start with James. He's going to say truth is what is useful to believe and has a practical value in our lives. A statement is true because you can use it. You can use it to build things. You could use it to get someplace. You can use it to make sure you get an annual exam, to make sure you are not late for employment, to make sure you don't miss your TV show, to make sure you don't piss off your spouse. Truth is what is useful to believe. John Dewey said in another way, truth is what works. What does it mean for it to be true? That there is a cup in my hand because it works. Saying there is a cup, my hand allows me to drink from it. It's tasty. There is a coffee. When we say F equal m, a right force equals mass times acceleration, what does it mean for that equation to be true? It means it works. It doesn't matter if it is not saying something about absolute reality. What matters is that we can use it right. It allows us to build ships and rockets and projectiles. It allows us to fly planes. It allows us to jump out of airplanes with parachutes and know how to land safely. It works. Charles S. Peirce is going to say a little bit different. He said, truth therefore is tentative. It's dependent upon scientific inquiry, and if science finds new things, if science tells us new ways of looking at the world, then we have to adjust our truths because truth is what works. So, as a summarized, first, truth is tentative, not absolute. Since we can't know how reality actually is, why even search for absolute? Truth is measured by workability. So the more it works for us, the more we are able to use it the more. Second, it is right, which means it is working knowledge as you learn new things as you live. Through your life, you might have to change what you believe is true. Third, this means then you should continually be evaluating and re-evaluating what you consider to be true. How useful would be if we were to take that stance on truth, that stance on knowledge. And the fourth, you have to remember, it is not about what you want to believe. This is all our video presentation.
We would like to take this opportunity to thank our lecturer, Ms. Kimaha Cornell, for patiently guiding us in this lecture. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.